Have you ever wished you could recover and grow stronger in your sleep? In today's video, we follow the dramatic story of a young athlete on the verge of failure, who discovers an incredible secret that could change everything, all with just 2 simple vitamins. If you're ready to unlock the secret to waking up stronger, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to our channel to begin this journey with us. The world for Leo Vance had shrunk to the searing burn in his lungs and the rhythmic thunder of his own heart. Each beat was a painful drum against his ribs, a desperate percussion counting down the seconds he was losing. The synthetic track beneath his spikes was a blur of crimson, a river pulling him toward a finish line that felt a universe away. He could hear the crowd, a distant, roaring ocean of noise, but the most deafening sound was the voice in his own head, a frantic, pleading scream to just keep going. Push. Faster. You're losing him. His vision tunneled. The only thing in focus was the figure ahead of him, a silhouette of effortless grace against the stadium lights. KN. He didn't run. He glided, his form a perfect, fluid machine. There was no sign of strain in his stride, no hint of the agony that was tearing Leo apart from the inside out. It was the same story, the same race, played out a dozen times this season. Leo had the grit, the fire, the relentless will, but Kane had something else. He had perfection, engineered and optimized in the labs of the Aegis Training Institute. Then came the familiar, dreaded sensation. It started as a low thrum in his right shin, a sinister vibration that shot up the bone with every impact. Leo gritted his teeth, trying to ignore it, trying to convince himself it was just the ghost of an old pain. But it wasn't a ghost, it was a monster, waking from its slumber. The thrum intensified into a sharp, biting agony, a hot knife scraping against bone. His stride faltered. His form, once disciplined, began to crumble under the assault. With a final, desperate surge, Kane pulled away, crossing the finish line with his arms raised in a casual display of victory. Leo stumbled across seconds later, his body a collapsing star of pain and failure. He didn't even hear his time. He bent over, hands on his knees, gasping for air that felt like fire. It wasn't just the exhaustion that brought him to his knees. It was the crushing weight of his own limitations, the bitter certainty that his body had betrayed him yet again. The med bay at Aegis was as sterile and unforgiving as the data it produced. White walls, gleaming chrome, and the soft, incessant beep of monitors. Dr. Aris Thorne stood before a large screen displaying a cascade of Leo's biometric data. His face, usually a mask of charismatic optimism, was etched with a familiar shade of disappointment. The inflammation markers in your tibialis anterior are off the charts, Leo, Dr. Thorne said, his voice smooth but edged with impatience. He gestured to a series of angry red spikes on the graph. Your recovery metrics have been trending downward for weeks. We've tried the cryo chamber, the electrostimulation, the nutrient IVs. I'm thinking it's time to put you on the new Helios 7 recovery pod. It's experimental, but the early data is promising. Of course, we'll also need to start you on the new line of supplements from our sponsors at Kinetic Edge. Leo just stared at the screen, the numbers and graphs swimming before his eyes. It was always a new pod, a new supplement, a new piece of technology. He wasn't a person here. He was a failing experiment. The locker room felt even colder. As Leo painfully pulled off his running gear, Kane walked past, a towel slung over his shoulder, not a bead of sweat on his brow. He paused, a smirk playing on his lips. "Tough breakout there, Vance," he said, his tone dripping with mock sympathy. "You know, for a guy who works so hard, you sure spend a lot of time breaking down. Maybe you should stop being so old-fashioned." He tapped his own temple. "It's all about the science now. Biohacking. You can't fight progress." Kane walked away, leaving his words to hang in the air like a toxic vapor. The final nail in the coffin came from the announcement that blared from the overhead speakers. The final trials for the professional contract with Apex Athletics were in 3 weeks. It was his last chance. Leo knew with a gut-wrenching certainty that if he failed again, his scholarship would be revoked. His dream wouldn't just be delayed, it would be dead. That night, desperation became his fuel. Against the explicit orders of Dr. Thorne, Leo found himself back on the track, the stadium empty and silent under a moonless sky. He had to push through it. He had to break the cycle. He started to run, ignoring the screaming pain in his leg, forcing his body to obey his will. He ran one lap, then another. The pain was blinding, but he welcomed it. It was proof that he was still fighting. But on the third lap, as he rounded the final turn, his body issued its final, non-negotiable verdict. A sickening snap echoed in the silent stadium. Not a sound from the outside world, but an internal explosion of agony. His right leg gave out completely, and he went down hard, skidding across the abrasive track. He cried out, a raw, animal sound of pure pain that was swallowed by the vast emptiness of the night. He lay there, twisted and broken on the cold, unforgiving ground. The world spun, a dizzying vortex of pain and darkness. This was it, the breaking point. His career, it seemed, was officially over. Lying broken on the track, Leo felt the stadium's silence press down on him. His career was a ruin, and he was alone in its wreckage. Just as despair began to consume him, a warm, flickering light cut through the darkness. It was Samuel, the old groundskeeper, approaching with a lantern. Instead of calling for medics, Samuel knelt and placed a knowing hand on Leo's injured leg. His touch was surprisingly gentle, his examination intuitive. The track always tells you when you've asked for too much, he said, his voice a low rumble. They build machines here, not bodies. They forget the rhythm of rest. Leo, gritting his teeth against the pain, felt a strange calm from the old man's presence. With surprising strength, Samuel helped him to his feet. As they reached the dorm, the old man offered his final, cryptic advice. Stop fighting your body's clock, he whispered. The day is for tearing down, but the night is for building up. The strongest trees have the deepest roots, nourished in the dark. If you are tired of listening to the machines, find me in the greenhouse tomorrow. Samuel then disappeared back into the night, leaving Leo alone with an impossible choice. The Academy's science had failed him. All that remained was the quiet wisdom of an old man and a fragile, unfamiliar glimmer of hope. The next morning was a symphony of pain. Every muscle screamed in protest as Leo forced himself out of bed. His leg was a fiery, swollen mess, and just putting weight on it sent a jolt of agony through his entire body. He limped to the medbay, each step a testament to his desperation. Dr. Thorne was waiting for him, a look of grim satisfaction on his face. As I predicted, he said, gesturing to a new set of data on the screen. A complete structural failure. Your inflammation markers are catastrophic. We need to schedule you for a series of cortisone injections immediately. It's the only way to manage the damage. Leo stared at the screen, then at the doctor's cool, detached expression. Injections, more chemicals, more attempts to force his body into submission with expensive, invasive procedures that had never worked. He remembered Samuel's words from the night before, a quiet whisper of an alternative in the roaring chaos of his pain. No, Leo said, the word feeling foreign and powerful on his tongue. No injections. Dr. Thorne raised an eyebrow, a flicker of annoyance crossing his features. Don't be foolish, Leo. This isn't a negotiation. Your scholarship is contingent on you following the prescribed recovery protocols. And your protocols have run me into the ground, Leo retorted, a surge of defiance cutting through his pain. He turned and limped out of the medbay, leaving Dr. Thorne standing in stunned silence. He didn't know what he was doing, only that he couldn't keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. He found the greenhouse tucked away at the far edge of the campus, a relic of a bygone era. Unlike the cold, angular lines of the main buildings, it was a beautiful, domed structure of glass and weathered wood. Inside, the air was warm, humid, and alive with the smell of damp earth and blooming flowers. It was a chaotic, vibrant jungle, a stark contrast to the sterile order of the rest of the institute. Samuel was there, quietly tending to a row of orchids, his large hands surprisingly delicate as he misted their petals. He looked up as Leo entered, his expression calm and unreadable. I came, Leo said simply, feeling foolish and out of place. Samuel nodded, setting down his mister. He didn't offer a diagnosis or a complex explanation. Instead, he walked over to a small, cluttered workbench and picked up two ordinary plastic bottles. He held them out to Leo. "The body is like a building," Samuel began, his voice soft. "Every day you train, you knock down a few walls, stress the foundation. At night, the construction crew comes to rebuild it, stronger than before, but they cannot build with empty hands." He tapped the first bottle. "This is vitamin C. Think of it as the mortar. It is ascorbic acid. It is what your body uses to make collagen, the very glue that holds your muscles, your tendons, and your ligaments together. Without it, the bricks crumble. The body cannot repair the connective tissue you tear down each day." He then held up the second bottle. "And this," he said, his voice dropping slightly, "is vitamin D. This is not just a vitamin, it is the foreman of the construction site. It acts like a hormone, telling the workers where to go. It helps your muscles use calcium to contract and repair, and it ensures the entire rebuilding process runs smoothly. Without the foreman, the workers are lost, and the work doesn't get done." Leo stared at the bottles in Samuel's hand. One contained simple white tablets, the other small golden soft gels. It seemed absurd. In a place filled with million-dollar machines and genetically engineered supplements, the answer was vitamins. The kind you could buy in any store. "This is it?" Leo asked, the skepticism clear in his voice. "This is your secret." "There is no secret," Samuel replied gently. "Only knowledge that has been forgotten. The power is not in the pills, son. The power is already inside you. These are just the tools. But the timing is everything. The construction crew only works at night, during your deepest sleep. Take one of each, but only then. Let them work in harmony with your body's natural rhythm." Leo took the bottles, their lightness feeling impossibly insignificant in his hands. He had nothing to lose. The path of science and technology had led him to a dead end. This new path was shrouded in a fog of doubt, but it was the only one left. That night, in the quiet of his room, Leo bypassed the array of expensive, sponsored supplement containers on his desk. With a leap of faith that felt both terrifying and liberating, he swallowed one vitamin C tablet and one vitamin D soft gel. He lay in bed, expecting nothing. But as he drifted off, he didn't fall into the usual restless, pain-filled sleep. Instead, he sank into a profound and dreamless darkness, a deep, restorative stillness he hadn't experienced in years. When he woke the next morning, the first thing he noticed was the silence. Not the silence of the room, but the silence from his own body. The roaring fire in his leg had subsided to a warm, manageable glow. The overwhelming stiffness that usually greeted him was gone, replaced by a dull, bearable ache. It wasn't a miracle. He wasn't cured. But as he stood up and put weight on his leg, he felt it. A small, undeniable shift. A single, solid brick had been laid perfectly in the night. For the first time in a very long time, a flicker of genuine hope ignited within him. Leo's new life was governed by a simple, secret rhythm. By day, he trained with a renewed focus, pushing his body with an intelligence he hadn't possessed before. He no longer fought the pain. He listened to it, understood it, and worked with it. By night, he performed his quiet ritual. One white tablet, one golden soft gel, followed by a deep, healing sleep. He avoided Dr. Thorne's medbay, politely declined the kinetic edge supplements, and instead spent his free time with Samuel in the greenhouse, learning about nutrition and the simple, powerful ways the earth provided everything the body truly needed. The results were not immediate, but they were undeniable. Each morning, he woke up feeling a little less sore, a little more powerful. The chronic ache in his shins began to fade, replaced by a feeling of solid, resilient strength. His movements became more fluid, his stride longer and more efficient. The change was exponential. Within 2 weeks, he wasn't just matching his old times, he was shattering them. This silent ascent did not go unnoticed. The whispers started in the locker rooms and the dining hall. Athletes who had written Leo off as a cautionary tale now watched him with a mixture of awe and suspicion, but no one was more unsettled than Kane. He saw Leo gliding around the track, the pained limp completely gone, replaced by a quiet confidence that was more intimidating than any boast. Kane, whose own performance relied on a complex and expensive regimen of supplements and technology, couldn't comprehend it. In his mind, such a rapid recovery was impossible without a chemical shortcut. He started watching Leo, his gaze narrowing, convinced that Leo had found some new, undetectable performance-enhancing drug that gave him an unfair edge. The idea that simple health could be the answer was a possibility his ego would not allow him to entertain. The inevitable confrontation happened on the practice field. After Leo finished a set of sprints, posting a time that was nearly a full second faster than Kane's personal best, his rival cornered him. "What are you on, Vance?" Kane demanded, his voice low and accusatory. "No one comes back from an injury like yours that fast. No one." Leo simply met his gaze, his heart calm. "I'm not on anything," he said truthfully. "Don't lie to me," Kane hissed, his arrogance cracking to reveal the insecurity beneath. "You think I'm stupid. You're cheating. And I'm going to prove it." True to his word, Kane went straight to Dr. Thorne. The accusation was music to Thorne's ears. Leo's inexplicable success was a direct threat to his entire methodology, a methodology that came with lucrative sponsorship deals and a reputation for cutting-edge science. If an athlete could achieve superior results with what amounted to folk wisdom, Thorne's empire of technology would be rendered obsolete. The full weight of the Aegis Institute came down on Leo. Dr. Thorne subjected him to a barrage of invasive, unscheduled drug tests, analyzing his blood, urine, and even hair follicles for any trace of a banned substance. Each test came back immaculately clean, a fact that only frustrated Thorne and Kane more. Thorne began to publicly cast doubt on Leo's progress, referring to it in team meetings as a statistical anomaly and a dangerous, unsustainable spike that would surely lead to another catastrophic injury. The pressure was immense. Leo was an outcast, a puzzle that the institution was determined to solve, or, failing that, to break. But through it all, he held on to his quiet routine, his secret knowledge a shield against their disbelief. With the final trials just 2 days away, desperation festered into a conspiracy. Dr. Thorne knew that if Leo won, the questions would be unavoidable. His sponsors would want to know why their expensive products were being outperformed by an athlete on a minimalist regimen. His reputation would be shattered. He called Kane into his office. He didn't have to say much. He simply laid out the stakes, highlighting the threat Leo posed to the integrity of their program. He then mentioned a few specific, non-banned substances, potent diuretics that would cause severe dehydration, and beta blockers that would inhibit muscle response under pressure. He left the vials on his desk and then left the room, giving Kane the privacy to make his own choice. That night, cloaked in darkness, Kane slipped into Leo's dorm room. It was unlocked. Leo had no reason to fear his fellow athletes. Kane's eyes immediately fell on the 2 simple bottles on the bedside table. He picked them up, a sneer of contempt on his face. This was the secret, a child's vitamins. It was insulting. With grim satisfaction, he emptied the contents of Leo's bottles and replaced them with the pills from Dr. Thorne's office. He made sure the number of pills was the same, a perfect, undetectable switch. An hour later, Leo returned from a late-night stretching session, his mind calm and focused. He performed his nightly ritual, swallowing the 2 tampered pills without a second thought. He trusted the process. He trusted the tools. He lay down to sleep, believing he was giving his body exactly what it needed for the most important race of his life. The starting gun fired. For the first 100 meters of the preliminary heat, Leo felt powerful. But then, it began. A wave of dizziness washed over him. His muscles, usually responsive and explosive, felt sluggish and heavy. A terrible cramping sensation seized his calves, the kind of pain that only comes from severe dehydration. He glanced to his side and saw Kane pulling ahead, a cruel, triumphant smirk on his face. In that instant, Leo knew. He had been sabotaged. Panic surged through him, cold and sharp. His body was failing him, screaming at him to stop. His vision blurred, and the finish line seemed to recede with every painful step. He was about to give up when Samuel's voice echoed in his mind. "The power is not in the pills, son. The power is already inside you." It was a moment of absolute clarity. The vitamins had never been a magic cure. They were merely the tools that had allowed his body to do its own healing work. For weeks, he had been building a foundation of true, deep health. The construction was already finished. They had poisoned the water for one night, but the wellspring of his strength was deep within him, untouched. He stopped fighting the pain and started working with it. He shifted his focus from speed to survival. He changed his breathing, conserved his energy, and dug into a reserve of mental fortitude he never knew he had. He ran not with his muscles, but with his will. The last lap was a blur of agony and determination. He pushed through the debilitating cramps, his body screaming, his spirit roaring. He stumbled across the finish line and collapsed, his body trembling with exhaustion. He didn't win the heat. He didn't even come close. But when he looked at the scoreboard, he saw he had done just enough. He had qualified for the final. He was weak, depleted, but he was not broken. Leo went directly to the greenhouse. When he told Samuel what had happened, the old man simply nodded, his eyes filled with a sad understanding. "They can poison the water," Samuel said, his voice a steady anchor in Leo's turmoil. "But they cannot poison the well. You have spent weeks building a strong foundation. Trust it." On the day of the final race, Leo changed his routine. He skipped the pills. Instead, he spent the morning meditating in the warm sunlight, letting the natural vitamin D soak into his skin. He ate a simple meal of fruits, nuts, and greens, the food Samuel had taught him about. He was calm. He trusted his body. The atmosphere in the stadium was electric. Dr. Thorne and Kane stood on the sidelines, their faces masks of feigned confidence, certain of Leo's imminent failure. The starting gun fired. This time, Leo ran a different race. He wasn't just a machine of muscle and bone. He was an intelligent, living system. He felt the track beneath his feet, the air in his lungs, the powerful, steady rhythm of his own heart. He didn't burst out of the blocks with explosive force. Instead, he settled into a fluid, efficient pace, conserving his energy, running his own race, perfectly in tune with his body's signals. Kane, desperate to prove his superiority, shot into the lead, pushing himself to the absolute limit. But his strength was a facade, built on a foundation of chemicals and ego. In the final lap, his body began to betray him. His stride shortened, his form collapsed, and he began to fade. It was then that Leo made his move. He didn't sprint past Kane. He flowed past him, his endurance a deep, unshakable river. He crossed the finish line with a surge of quiet, profound power. He had won. The aftermath was swift. As part of a standard post-race protocol, officials searched the finalists' lockers. In Kane's bag, they found the vials of diuretics and beta blockers, along with Leo's stolen vitamin bottles. The conspiracy unraveled. Dr. Thorne was disgraced and fired, his empire of technology crumbling around him. Kane was expelled, his promising career over before it had truly begun. Leo was offered the professional contract he had dreamed of, but he accepted it with a condition. He worked with the Academy's board to create a new program, one that integrated Samuel's holistic, nature-based wisdom with the best of modern science. The final scene shows Leo, not in the sterile med bay, but walking with Samuel on the track at sunrise. The victory was sweet, but the true prize was the knowledge he now carried. He had finally learned that the secret to waking up stronger had nothing to do with magic pills or expensive machines. It was about trusting the quiet, powerful, and miraculous work of the night. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope this story has been both entertaining and insightful. If you enjoyed it, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Until then, stay healthy, and we'll see you again soon.